這短片節錄自聖陛下第17世大寶法王泰耶多傑有關寂天菩薩的入菩薩行論第2品懺悔罪業的開示，並加以翻譯為中文，有粵語及普通話可供選擇。請在下面的資訊欄取得資料。第2節。
So now, having said that, then I would just like to say a little bit about the negative karma, as we are all, explaining it in that way, or demeritorious causality, let's say. So yesterday, in this translation, it was talking terms like evil deeds and sins were used, and it might be simple to understand, it might not be, and so therefore I would just like to say a few words about it. Now in this case, just nothing to do with interpretation or translation or the utilization of the language, but mainly that of the actual sort of nature of the negative karma, very simply.
然後，我想談談負面業力，或者說有過失的因果關係。昨天談論這個翻譯時，惡行罪惡這樣的術語被使用了。這可能很容易理解，也可能不是。因此，我只想對此說幾句話。我不是想討論這詞語的演繹、翻譯或語言的使用，而只是簡單地談談負面業力的實際性質。
It's very important for us to know from the beginning that as it is described in the teaching, and that the negative karmas or unfavorable karmas, or whatever we call it, first of all, it has, it is simply not a part of our inherent nature at all. And just like I said yesterday, it is extremely momentary, it is extremely temporary. Temporary meaning that it doesn't stay true to its appearance. It continues to change. It continues to, let's say, move. And this is the good news, yes.
從一開始就知道這一點非常重要，正如教導中所描述的那樣，負面的業力或不善業，完全不是我們內在本性的一部分。正如我昨天所說，這是極度短暫的、暫時的。暫時的意味着它不會保持其原樣，它不斷的變化、移動。而這是個好消息。
That it means that it's not something that we have to worry ultimately, because it's not a part of us. It's just something that came along because of maybe lack of awareness, lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, lack of experience. Something that caught on, let's say, like a habit, but nothing more. So if you keep that in mind, then I keep that in mind, meaning by means of reminding oneself, focusing on this nature and aspect by means of one's learning, by means of one's practice, by means of meditation, meaning focusing on this aspect, its nature, to basically ask ourselves, is it impermanent? Is it, or is it the opposite, permanent, something that is not changeable?
這意味着，負面業力，不是我們最終必須擔心的事情，因為它根本不是我們的一部分。負面業力， 只是因為我們缺乏覺知、理解、知識、經驗而出現的。比如說，就像一些流行起來的東西，就像一種習慣，但僅此而已。所以，你要記緊留意負面業力的本質和各方面，即是通過提醒自己，通過學習、修行和禪修來做到這一點。意思是留意負面業力的各方面，它的本質。問問自己，它是無常的嗎？還是相反，它是永恆的、不可改變的東西。
So by using extremely simple logic, without depending on emotions in general, and particularly afflictive emotions during your reasoning, during your while you're examining it, to just very professionally and very clearly, consciously examine it while you meditate, and to focus on its nature. Focusing in this case, first of all, the causes. Yes, very simply, those will be. I think in the teachings it is said that if you have to summarize into one, it's basically lack of knowledge or lack of experience.
當你思考和推理時，是通過使用極其簡單的邏輯，是不依賴情緒的，尤其是煩惱。在禪修時，要非常專業地、清晰地和有意識地去檢查它，並專注於其本質。在這種情況下，首先要關注引致負面業力的原因。很簡單，正如教導所說，如果你必須總結成一個原因，那基本上是缺乏知識或缺乏經驗。
If you describe it a little bit more, there may be the three roots, such as ignorance, desire, or attachment, and then anger. So like that. But if you sort of simplify again back into one, and something that's sort of really very, how do you call this, to the origin, let's say, it's basically the lack of knowledge and a phenomena that is caused by lack of knowledge and hangs on to something that thinks is exactly as it is experienced or exactly as it is appearing.
如果你再多描述一點，那麼可能是三個根源，比如無明愚痴、貪欲或執着，然後是瞋恚。但如果你要簡化為一個原因，找出其根源，負面業力基本上是一種由缺乏知識和執着所引起的現象。誤以為事情的本質就與我們所經歷的完全相同，與其形象的完全相同。
So, if we let's say meditate like this, then it can help us, and it can go a long way. So this is, I think, very important for all of us to keep reminding oneself that it is not inherent at all. It is not truly existing, let's say. Yes. So one, I think probably that sort of answers a lot of things. From there, and then the various types of confusions, whether it's purifiable or not, or whether whether it can let's say, truly destroy a part of us, So the very sort of strong questions that we have are all solved actually by focusing on its nature, by focusing on its what do you call it? In nature, yes. So with that, then the rest of the applications, the rest of way of viewing it will all make sense. It'll come in order.
所以，如果我們像這樣禪修，那麼便對我們很有持續和大力的幫助。所以我認為，我們不斷要提醒自己，負面業力根本不是固有的，這一點非常重要。它不是真正存在的。我認為這可能回答了很多問題，可以排除各種類型的困惑，比如懷疑負面業力是否可以淨化，或會否真正摧毀我們的一部分。所以，這些非常強烈的問題，實際上也可以通過關注其本質來解決。因此，循着這個方法，剩下來的應用、審查方式都會變得合理和循序漸進。
Of course, I think we all have one main question, which is that, which is very common, which is if it is purifiable, if it truly doesn't exist, if it's not inherent, how come that from time to time, or often it is the case where we feel overwhelmed, where we feel sort of overpowered, almost bullied, muscled. For that, I personally feel that it's all due to sort of, first of all, lack of experience, one, and then having developed, continuous habits, simply due to lack of experience, a lack of knowledge.
我們都有一個非常常見的主要問題，那就是負面業力是否可以淨化。如果它不是實在的存在，如果它不是與生俱來的，為什麼會時不時地或經常地感到負面業力把我們壓垮？我認為這首先是由於缺乏經驗，因為缺乏經驗、缺乏知識，我們養成了持續的習慣。
And so therefore, over time, it aggregates more and more and more. Of course, it begins, very simply, hardly sort of, noticeable. And then it aggregates on top. It starts to compound, and to a point where it has accumulated to a point where it's sometimes not imaginable, let's say, in terms of its weight, in terms of its power. So therefore, then suddenly when we have to, when we feel obstructed by it, when we face it directly, then we are overwhelmed. And even if we now think of a remedy or think of the means in overcoming it, suddenly that sort of shock, that amazement sort of has captured yourself. So therefore, sort of damages a little bit of the hope,
因此，隨着時間的推移，這些習慣變得越來越多。當然，它開始的時候，這些習慣輕微得很難被注意到的。然後它積聚和增加起來，直至它積累到了一個無法想象的程度、重量和力量。 因此，我們突然感到被這些習慣阻礙了。當我們直接面對它時，我們就會不知所措。即使我們想到了一種補救措施或克服它的方法，它卻讓我們震驚、束手無策。所以，某種程度的損害了我們的希望。
So that's why, before we face such, I think, moments of obstacles, it's very important for us to continuously reflect, over and over again, of its nature. Now, earlier I said to focus on its causes, yes, and then now also to focus on its results, the effect, to see how powerful it is, once it aggregates, how powerful it can be. So by focusing on these two aspects, then automatically one is providing, experience, just on the spot, actually not having to do so much, actually. Right there on the spot where we are, let's say, for example, where we meditate, let's say, in that very space, just by reflecting, and then, of course, bringing in one's own personal experience, of yourself, of what you've heard of others, what you've seen. So you put all those together, and then on the spot you're already sort of strengthening your wisdom, and so therefore automatically there is sort of like a renunciation of first of all the causes, towards the causes and towards the effects. So yes, I think like this is important that we have that kind of mindset.
所以這就是為什麼在我們遇到障礙、面對障礙的時候，我們要不斷地反思它的性質是非常重要的。我之前說過要關注障礙的原因，然後現在還要關注它的結果、效果，看看它有多強大。一旦它聚集在一起，它有多強大。因此，通過關注這兩個方面，這樣的反思自然地、立即地提供經驗。即使我們沒有做什麼，當我們禪修反思並匯聚自己和他人的經驗，我們即時便能提升智慧。因此，我們會自然地放棄，不執着於其原因和結果。所以，我認為這種心態很重要。全文完。願大家菩提上進。請點讚、分享我們的短片，訂閱我們的 YouTube 及 Facebook 頻道。